So our next is about Let's Talk, the challenges of caregiving.
As far as looking at how home health care fits in with things, a lot of times we'll see people that do go into the hospital and then come home with a need to have, nurses, therapists, home health aides, social workers, that nature coming into their home. And sometimes we can get people back to a good spot to where they're doing well and able to be on their own. Other times there's more of an unskilled need where someone may be there to help with transportation, running errands, making meals, doing laundry, cleaning the house. Um, so those are two separate types of services. A lot of the unskilled services aren't going to be traditionally covered by insurance. So there are programs that are available through the county, also through Medicaid, that can help provide payment for that. If those services, if you don't meet income criteria for those services, then it's cash out of pocket most times. There is also some long-term care insurance policies that will cover that. Those are very costly to obtain, and if it's something that you're looking into for a loved one, I suggest look into it as early as possible because they're very costly, but they are well worth it if you have them. On the other side of things, the skilled nature of things, that is generally covered by traditional insurance for a length of time to get someone back to their original level of functioning before whatever episode happened. So, having a nurse come in if there's a wound to change a dressing or things of that nature, with therapy to get someone stronger again. And at that point, once those goals are met, the people are then gone from your home. The one thing we're looking at seeing changing so much with the way the Obamacare and things have come down, some new regulations are kind of going into place to state that if someone has, a traditional Medicaid insurance as well as a Medicare insurance, they'll be having to choose a managed care organization to receive those services through.
So what is dementia and what is Alzheimer's disease? Are these the same or is it different? So if you look at dementia, one of the characteristic features of dementia is forgetfulness. So you have some memory loss. That definition is changing, but so far we have considered dementia, one of the hallmarks of that is you have memory loss. Okay? So there are different causes of dementia. Alzheimer's disease is one cause of dementia. For example, if somebody comes in with a fever, somebody could have a sore throat, could have a flu, could have a pneumonia, could have a blood infection. So everybody has a fever, but they have different causes. That's the same analogy as for dementia. You could have dementia, and you could have different reasons why somebody has dementia. So at the age of 60, your chances could be 20-25%. Every 5 years increases your risk by 5%. So if you are in your 80s or 85, you almost have a close to 40 to 50% chance that you will have some degree of dementia. And with the advances that we have made in medicine, people are living longer, right? Nowadays, if you find somebody who was in 70s, you call them 70-year-old young. Previously geriatrics used to be more than 65. Now somebody who is 70 wouldn't even come to a geriatrician. You have to be 85 to come to a geriatrician. So our definitions have changed because we are living much longer. And again, so you have people who are living longer and they are going to have, and that's what we are seeing, not just in the United States, but we are seeing this across the world. Previously, it was thought, well, maybe this is a disease of the industrialized world. Maybe we're not seeing so much in Asia, it's not so much in Africa. It's not the case anymore. There have been studies done all across the world, and everywhere it's the same thing. Previously, we did not know as much about Alzheimer's disease. So if your mind doesn't know, your eyes doesn't see, right?
I'm a nurse. I worked for Meadowbrook for many years, 20 years. We have Alzheimer's unit there. I see a lot of families, they are really having a hard decision if the parents or loved ones have to be with us. But once they were there, the family felt such a great relief because the two important things is for safety, really for safety. The parents at home get up at the night and sometimes they wandered out. You heard these things on the news too. And also the fire. Sometimes they turn the stove on and all these kind of things. When this transition, they still know how to turn the stove on, but they don't know what to do. That's very, very bad. And I do have a lot of family members, they love us so much, they come to be volunteers to help everything, our activities and all that.
Advice I would give to my patient family is that start early. Patients need to address these issues that were identified earlier during the morning sessions early enough so that you can start planning. Don't wait until a crisis becomes a problem for the health welfare of the patient as well as the family. I think that by starting out early, mapping out a plan, whether it's the advanced directives, whether it's the power of attorney, living wills, all of these are very, very important. Discussing, the transition to assisted living.
So what is palliative care? Palliative care is providing good symptom management for the patients and their families who have chronic or advanced diseases. Okay, so it could be somebody with congestive heart failure who is going into advanced diseases. Dr. Min talked about cirrhosis of liver and liver cancer, so it could be any kind of cancers when patients present. It could be patients with dementia, patients with Parkinson's disease. So what happens, what we have realized is that in the early part of disease processes, symptoms are very less. Okay? But as the disease progresses, the number of symptoms increases. And when we start talking about symptoms, we are not just talking about physical symptoms. We're not talking about pain or nausea or vomiting or shortness of breath. We're talking about physical as well as we're talking about emotional. We're talking about psychosocial. We are talking about spiritual. We're talking about a lot of other symptoms which play a role in the well-being of the patient. And it's not just taking care of the patient, it's taking care of patient and the family together. So that's what is part of what is palliative care does, is helps patients and their families understand where they are in the disease process, discuss with them what are the various options for treatments, and help them come up with a plan what would be the best in their circumstances, keeping their wishes in mind, what would make the most sense as far as treatment is concerned. Now, hospice care is also palliative care, but that is towards end of life. So how Medicare defines is that if you have a life expectancy of 6 months or less, you can get hospice care. So all hospice care is palliative care, or palliative care is not hospice care.
The most important issue that you as family members should consider would be the mental status of the loved ones, cognitive ability, and also the safety issues surrounding that particular person.
My best advice in talking with people, whether you're a senior, a caregiver, or someone young in the audience, think forward to where you may be someday, and start making your ideas and decisions towards those things now. Mm-hmm. It makes things so much easier. We sit in a little bit of an opposite situation. My father spent the last 16 years in China working as an engineer. His wife is Chinese, and her parents are now left in Dalian. It's a major conflict for her. They actually don't want to come over here for fear of some of the Western medicine and the fact that, well, when something goes wrong, you're just going to put me into a nursing home and it will be negative. So she spends half of her time running back to Dalian and half of her time coming back here because the decisions really weren't made, well thought out. Her mother does suffer from Parkinson's as well as Alzheimer's disease, and they are having a major struggle at coming with maids or assistants that are good in helping. So the lady was a brilliant surgeon, and they never really planned or thought that anything might potentially happen. So my best advice is plan forward, because your kids and grandchildren will go on and make plans for their life to go forward. So it makes those situations much easier if you can look and come up with some ideas and say, hey, when these things, if they do happen to me, I would like to do this, this, or this.